Hey, 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 we made it to the end of another week. Welcome in, Bruce Hooley Show, Friday edition. Glad to have you along with us. And didn't get much headlines the other night when Kamala Harris interviewed with Bret Baier. Questions on immigration, questions on Donald Trump, of course, being the orange man bad. The question that sort of vanished under the radar, but it was priority enough for Bret Baier to ask it second after he tried to pin down Kamala Harris on immigration. The issue of transgenderism, where the Democrats stand, where Kamala stands, where people like Sherrod Brown running for Senate in the state of Ohio stand, is becoming, thankfully, increasingly important as we approach the November 5th election. And we are going to talk about that today, parse her answer from the other night, and play for you a Sherrod Brown ad where he is running away from the LGBTQ movement. That has not sat well with the LGBTQ movement. Why would Sherrod Brown be doing that? Because Bernie Moreno is narrowing Sherrod Brown's lead in the polls. And I mean narrowing it big time. Brown, used to winning these Senate races against his Ohio opponents by 6-7 points, had a lead of that amount up until about, 2-3 weeks ago. And then Bernie Moreno started to just gradually, incrementally sort of consume some of that lead. And now it's down as close as 2 points, which of course worries the Democrats because Trump historically underpolls. And if we get a heavy turnout for Donald Trump on election day, there is a thought, a fear, a terrified fear among Democrats that Sherrod Brown's long 3-term Senate career will be over. We'll get to all of that, but first, breaking news as it concerns our local community. Former Columbus police officer Adam Coy will go on trial on Monday. Coy is charged with murder, felonious assault, reckless homicide, and 2 counts of dereliction of duty in what is almost a 4-year-old shooting of Andre Hill. Andre Hill is 47 years old at the time. He was in a garage where he had been, unknowing to Columbus police, invited to come over. He was having a conversation or about to have a conversation with a friend. And police officer Adam Coy mistook something in Andre Hill's hand for a gun. Officer Coy fired, and Andre Hill was tragically killed. Now, Hill's family's already been paid a $10 million settlement by the city of Columbus. Coy has not gone on trial for 4 years because he was undergoing treatment for cancer. He is now deemed to be healthy enough to stand trial. So this is going to go to court on Monday. We're going to have jury selection, and that's going to be a ticklish jury selection because when the city has already prejudiced the jury by giving $10 million to the family of Andre Hill, that'll complicate things. I don't know where I stand in this. I'm not going to sit in the courtroom. I'm not going to hear all the testimony. This is, to me, just on the bare minimum of facts that I know about this case, closer to the possibility that Adam Coy did something wrong than any of the other cases that have involved a police shooting in the time that I've done this show. 4+ years, almost 5 years. Because in the case of Casey Goodson, that's an open and shut case. Casey Goodson had a gun in his hand. He didn't comply with Jason Meade, who shot him, and the hung jury pretty much proves that Jason Meade's not guilty. But in this county, of course, they're going to do everything they can to put Jason Meade in jail. The cases of the one where the guy in the apartment didn't get out of his bed and they sent the dogs in to bark and he refused to come out and his roommates wouldn't say whether he was in there and what he had, and he got up in the dark and he had something in his hands and the police officer shot him. When I say good, I don't mean good in the terms of it's good it happened. That's a justifiable, better word, shoot, a justifiable shoot. And the Blendon Township case where Takia Young was engaged in a criminal conspiracy enterprise with other friends to go in and steal expensive bottles of liquor from Kroger, shoplift them, get into her car, try to run over an officer, flee the scene, and she got shot. That's an open and shut justifiable case too. But of course, he's going to go to trial because that's what we do in Columbus, Ohio. Cops bad, criminals persecuted. So Adam Coy goes on trial on Monday. Now, we have, in the case of one of many juveniles murdered in Columbus this year, in some cases by other juveniles, this case, it appears, fits that description. 15-year-old Robert Clark III of Milo Grogan neighborhood and his father were taken into custody yesterday. The young Mr. Clark is accused of shooting fatally 17-year-old Carnell Mixon, and the father, 34, is accused of harboring his son as a fugitive. Columbus police showed up, found him, and now both the elder will be in court today to answer to charges that he harbored his son while he well knew that police were looking for him. And then finally, on the crime front, Columbus police yesterday rounded up 27 people in the Hilltop, assortment of charges, probably drugs, prostitution, who knows, human trafficking and all that. So that's where we are as we sit on a Friday morning at 11:15 on the crime front in Columbus. What I find much more interesting is that we have known for a long, long time, or at least you have because you listen to this show, because I've made it a priority. I make it a priority because even the hat that I wear, as a father of 3 girls, I, a long time ago, became aware of what a threat this mounting acceptance of transgender ideology is, not just to women's sports. Look, my girls play sports. I want my girls to play sports fairly. I don't want them to have to be at risk of being injured by playing against a boy. I certainly don't want a boy in their locker room. That's just a piece of the puzzle, though. And the other piece of the puzzle is the kids who are trapped, who go down this rabbit hole on Reddit or some other social media platform where they are convinced that they have been born in the wrong body. Look, as a Bible-believing Christian, I believe that God is infallible and perfect among many other attributes that he has. And so no authentic Bible-believing Christian can believe that God made a mistake. Oh, I intended for you to be born a girl, but instead I screwed up and you were born a boy. That's just utterly ridiculous and a completely at odds with God position, okay? So, that's where I can't even begin to board the crazy train that subscribes to transgender ideology. But my objection to it also is for the kids who are trapped in it, it is so super destructive psychologically and physically, particularly if we allow doctors to prescribe puberty blockers and hormones to kids, which will permanently alter their DNA, mess up the natural cycle of their development. If they have gender mutilation, if they have sexual mutilation surgery. See, the left has been so good at this. I just gave you a demonstration of how good the left has been at this. The left has been so good at this that somebody like me, an arch conservative, as immovable on this issue of biological truth as there can be, that men are men, they cannot be women under any circumstances. Women are women, they cannot be men under any circumstances. Even someone like me, the word gender creeps into my conversation. That's how effective the left has been on ingraining this nonsense into our nomenclature. Men, women, gender is a made-up construct. It's made up. Yet it's become a part of our lexicon because of the effectiveness of the left at poisoning our minds, poisoning the minds of young people. And by the time a child goes down the transgender rabbit hole, the further they pursue it, the more troubled they become. And if they come to their senses, and yes, it is a mental illness, if they come to their senses, who are they betrayed by? The very people who claim that, oh, we'll love you through this, and this is your authentic self, and come over to our community where you'll find acceptance and all this kind of. Those are the people who will attempt to cannibalize people like Chloe Cole and others who realize, unfortunately sometimes too late, that this has been a horrific mistake. And I think that a lot of parents buy into this because they are, for various reasons, sold a lie that, well, what do you want? Do you want a live daughter or a dead son? Which is just demonic blackmail to say that, oh, if you don't allow your son to become a girl, then he will kill himself and it'll be your fault. Again, Christianity is a balance of truth and love. You can say that not affirming someone in their gender nonsense is not being loving. But I would argue, and truth would argue, that when you balance love with truth, when you tell someone the truth, it is the most loving thing that you can do for them. But we're seeing this show up now in the polls where Kamala Harris is struggling. Part of her struggles, I think, is the fact that Donald Trump on NFL games is pounding her with her support of transgender rights. And we're seeing it here in the state of Ohio with Sherrod Brown. And we're seeing it in the way this issue is being reported right here in our own town, which I will demonstrate to you next. There was a poll by Baldwin Wallace College, Ohioans, on how Ohioans feel about transgenderism and rights. And the way it was reported tells you all you need to know about what they're trying to hide on the left.
Today, a very nice afternoon. High today at 70. Clear tonight, low 40. And then sunny and warm for tomorrow, the high 75. Clear skies tomorrow night, low 43. Sunny, warm day on Sunday, the high 76. Sunday night, clear, low 45. And then sunny and warm again on Monday, the high Monday at 75. For Tuesday, partly sunny, remaining warm though. High Tuesday afternoon, 76. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Are you under the impression that a metal roof costs 2 or 3 times more than a shingle roof? No, it doesn't. Hi, folks. I'm Dan Tolan, owner of The Metal Roof Company. As your foremost metal roofing authority in Central Ohio, I can promise you it's the most inexpensive roof you'll ever buy because it's the last roof you'll ever buy. With lifetime warranties and a variety of financing options, give us a call at 721-ROOF, 721-ROOF, or reach out to us on the web at themetalroofcompany.com.
This is Josh Pick with the Aptus Blueprint Radio Show. The thing that I hear most often in meetings is, what do I do when it seems like stocks and bonds are getting crushed, rates at the bank are abysmal, and inflation is at 40-year highs? Well, you're not alone, and there are better options. Did you know that you can lock in darn near double-digit returns in a positive market while simultaneously accepting zero downside risk? Learn more about ideas like this and many other ways to improve your financial situation by listening to the Aptus Retirement Blueprint Radio Show Friday evenings at 6, Saturday afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040.
The Caribbean is calling. Dennis Prager here, and I invite you to join me on a Caribbean cruise this November. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. We'll cruise the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba, and more. Stroll through Curaçao's iconic pastel-colored shops and snorkel in Bonaire's world-class coral reefs. You'll enjoy some of the most delicious cuisine aboard Holland America's Rotterdam, a fantastic destination itself, this ship, with riveting shows and breathtaking views. We'll be joined by a special guest, Sean McDowell, and we'll both share fresh insights. We'll have dialogue on religion, current events, happiness, and our future in America in light of the election. November 29 to December 8th. Secure your spot today by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at PragerCruise.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Paul George with Keller Williams Greater Columbus Realty, host of the Paul George Real Estate Show, broadcasting every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 98.9 The Answer. Using over 30 years of trusted real estate agent experience in Central Ohio, I'll share invaluable insights into the ever-evolving local real estate market, provide you with current trends, and bring industry experts who will share their wisdom on the art of buying and selling homes. Join me every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. right here on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
If you need new flooring for your home, I can help you out. I'm helping out a couple really, really nice people that I met just over the last week. I would love to add you to that list. Carpet or luxury vinyl plank flooring. It looks like wood. It can look like tile. You want it for a bathroom, a laundry room. We can get it for you to look like tile, or you can get it to look like wood. It's all waterproof. It's all virtually indestructible. I mean, why would the manufacturer send a wire brush with the store displays to encourage you to try to scratch it if in fact it were going to scratch? No, for those of you who have pets, cats, dogs, pets with claws that you're worried about, oh, they've ruined my hardwood floors or my carpet. Well, LVP may be the way to go. You won't know until you go to brucehooley.com and click on flooring in the upper right-hand corner of the page, because then you will be able to interact with me. We'll measure your space. We'll show you our products, all the major name brands. We have our own installers and they get rave reviews. You will love the service you will get on your new flooring by going to brucehooley.com and clicking flooring in the upper right-hand corner of the page. So in the United States, from 2019 to 2023, there were 13,000 plus gender reassignment surgeries on kids younger than 18, with the youngest being 7 years old. The youngest being 7 years old. These numbers were increasing dramatically from 2022 to 2023 on Joe Biden's watch, because of course the Biden administration pushed this because of their allegiance to the LGBTQ voting bloc, which they deemed to be part of their coalition that would enable them to have power forever. But now that Donald Trump is running ads, pounding Kamala Harris on her support of changing California law to give free transgender surgeries to prisoners in the California penal system, her advocacy of transgender surgeries for illegals coming into the United States who are detained, that the taxpayers should pay for their sex reassignment surgery. That's killing her in the polls. And it's killing Sherrod Brown right here in Ohio. So Sherrod Brown is running an ad where he is refuting that he has supported this. It is a lie, but it is a lie that is being supported by media in the state of Ohio. One of the Cleveland television stations fact-checked the Sherrod Brown, anti-Sherrod Brown ad by Bernie Moreno, where Moreno points out how radical Sherrod Brown is on transgenderism. And I think it's WKYC in Cleveland said, a fact check false, Sherrod Brown has not supported it. Well, that's not true. That is not true. Even the woke Columbus Dispatch and their despicable worst reporter on the staff, Haley B. Miller, in trying to prop up Brown's radicalism on this, noted the other day that Brown opposed an amendment that would allow transgender women, that's a boy, to play on a female sports team. Brown opposed an amendment. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. Brown opposed an amendment prohibiting funding for schools that allow boys to play on girls' sports teams. So the Republicans in the Senate tried to ban it. We're not going to give the schools any money if you put a boy on a girls' team. And Brown opposed that. Also, the Dispatch noted that Brown co-sponsored, this is so transparent. Brown co-sponsored, but did not introduce a bill called the Federal Equality Act, which would add protections for gender identity. So if you're a boy and you want to play a girls' sport, you can hide behind the Equality Act, which Sherrod Brown sponsored but did not introduce. Oh, wow. Run the other way, Sherrod. Sponsor the bill, but don't introduce it. Now, those are a couple of the lies in this story by Haley B. Miller. But the biggest lie is when she's talking about a Baldwin Wallace University poll released the first of this month. And here's how she reported it. A Baldwin Wallace poll released earlier this month found most Ohio voters oppose gender-affirming care for minors and do not believe transgender people should play on sports teams or use bathrooms that align with their gender identity. Let me translate that into real English rather than common Democratic leftist nonsense speak. She says most Ohioans oppose giving puberty blockers to kids. Most Ohioans do not believe boys should play on girls' sports teams. And most Ohioans do not believe boys should use girls' bathrooms just because the boys say they are a girl. Okay? What is left out of that paragraph? Now, I was a reporter for a long time. And unless journalism has changed, what you were supposed to do as a reporter is disclose all the facts that you have pertinent to the information that you are reporting. Did you notice what's missing from Haley B. Miller's dismissive, most Ohio voters oppose this? The number. What's the number, Haley? You refer to the poll. I assume if you refer to the poll, you have the poll results in front of you. Why did you not report the number? Here's the number. What do you think the percentage is in the state of Ohio who oppose? It is 72.6%. 72.6% oppose gender-affirming care, which is a lie, which is sex reassignment surgery. It's gender-affirming, which is nonsense. There's no such thing as gender. Is there cancer-affirming care? Hey, doc, I think I have a broken leg. Can you give me broken leg affirming care? I'm sorry, Mr. Hooley, your x-ray does not show a broken leg. Yeah, but I need broken leg affirming care. In fact, I need amputation leg affirming care. My leg is holding me back. Why don't you cut it off? Would they do that? No, of course they wouldn't. Only in terms of this idiotic gender question do we allow the patient to diagnose the patient instead of the doctor. The percentage of people opposing boys playing girls sports is even higher than 72.6%. It's 73.4%. But Haley B. Miller does not report that number because that number does not fit her personal agenda and the Dispatch's personal viewpoint of this issue. This is why Bret Baier brought this up, because this is a matter that hurts Democrats, because American voters across both party platforms are logical on this. Here was Kamala trying to dodge on Bret Baier pressing her on whether she still supports taxpayer-funded sex change operations and puberty blockers for kids.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law. I think it's he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people.
Okay, the needs of the American people are not just immigration and a secure border. The needs of the American people, in fact, I would argue, and I have argued, and I will continue to argue, that the number one need of the American people is to be able to speak truth and to not be penalized or even worse, prosecuted for speaking truth. And if she's elected, they have already shown their hand on their desire to criminalize speech, hate speech, misinformation, disinformation. This will not be limited to just political conversations around transgenderism, because you know the next place this will go. The next place this will go is into the pulpit of your church, when your pastor tries to preach biblical morality from the pages of the Bible. If she's elected president, if Tampon Tim Walz is elected vice president, do you think they're going to allow what few remaining authentic biblical-based pastors out there are? You think they're going to let them preach morality from the pulpit unchecked? No chance.
With SRN News, I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. South Korea's spy agency says North Korea has dispatched several thousand troops to support Russia's war against Ukraine. The intelligence is in line with a similar claim by Ukrainian President Zelensky. Terror group Hamas confirms that its leader Yahya Sinwar was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza. It also says hostages taken from Israel a year ago will not be released until there is a ceasefire in Gaza and a withdrawal of Israeli troops. The Texas Supreme Court halted the scheduled execution of a man who would have become the first person in the U.S. put to death for shaken baby syndrome. The late-night ruling to spare, for now, Robert Robertson capped a flurry of last-ditch legal maneuvers. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris both campaigning in Michigan today. It's one of the 3 blue wall states. This is SRN News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your time.
All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be. But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. But Catholics, please don't be too insulted by Kamala's absence. If the Democrats, thank you very much, I appreciate it. If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden.
There you go, with The Answer's mobile app at 98.theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn, or iHeart.
ProView Remodeling, Ohio's #1 choice in sunrooms, windows, doors, decks, sidings, patios, porches, basements, and bathroom remodels. Call ProView Remodeling today and get 25% off or 60 months, 0 interest. That's right, 60 months, 0 interest. Call or text 7 days a week, 614-756-3140. You win with ProView Remodeling, 614-756-3140. Check us out at ProViewRemodeling.com.
Firefighter Daniel Foley assisted in rescue efforts at Ground Zero. But Daniel couldn't have known that his heroism would cost him his life more than 18 years later. His death, like so many others, resulted from illnesses caused by the toxic dust from the Twin Towers collapse on 9/11. Victims and first responders are still suffering, yet children in this nation are growing up unaware of America's darkest day. The Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is helping educators teach children about 9/11. These lessons are based on first-person accounts and are designed to meet academic standards. The 9/11 Institute offers the Discovering Heroes book series, a speakers bureau, an exhibit with artifacts, and memorial scholarships for children of program recipients. Help our nation keep its promise to never forget. Donate $11 a month to the Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org. That's the letter T, the number 2, t.org.
He knows firsthand what it's like to live under communism. That's why he'll boldly tell you that America truly is the shining city on the hill. He's Sebastian Gorka, and he's on America First, weekday afternoons from 3 to 5 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Well, we are in the home stretch before the October 22nd Battleground Talkers Tour at Genoa Christian Fellowship, and we'd love to have you with us. We've got over 600 tickets sold, which matches the number we sold for the event 2 years ago. That was on a Saturday. This is on a Tuesday. So you guys are into the election, and we are going to feed your election information vacuum. I'll be there speaking on the stage with Hugh Hewitt, Mike Gallagher, our Jack Windsor, the Ohio Press Network. We're going to have some high-profile state elected officials there and a special surprise guest. So if you'd like to get in, general admission tickets, $5. $5. You can't even buy a coffee for $5. $5 general admission tickets at 989theanswer.com. VIP tickets that gets you delicious hors d'oeuvres, a meet and greet with the speakers that evening, preferred seating. Use my promo code Bruce25 to get $25 off your VIP ticket. Buy all your tickets at 989theanswer.com. And we thank Americans for Prosperity, which will be sponsoring our event. Oh, the Democrats hate Donald Trump. Orange man bad. Kamala tried to turn her interview with Bret Baier into a mean-spirited roast of Donald Trump. It's like, how you can distract somebody by going, squirrel, and they look, oh, what do you mean, squirrel? With Kamala, every question is, yes, but Trump. Yes, but Trump. Yes, but Trump. She could have had a rapt audience last night to insult Donald Trump, but she decided not to attend the Al Smith dinner in New York, which is a staple for presidential candidates. Going back decades, it is a fundraiser for Catholic charities, but Kamala Harris, of course, hates God. And it's an uncomfortable audience when you are an unrepentant serial baby murderer to appear before her Catholic audience. So she did not show, except in a cringy video, which I don't even know why they let her play a video if you're not going to show up in person. But Donald Trump was there. And this is how Donald Trump began his remarks at the Al Smith dinner, where the idea is you show up and you don't give a partisan speech. You kind of poke fun of yourself, or you take some good-natured jabs at your opponents. Say what you want about Trump. He's a funny guy.
It's been a long tradition for both Democrat and Republican candidates for president of the United States to attend this dinner. It's a rule. You got to go to the dinner. You got to do it. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen to you from up there. But my opponent feels like she does not have to be here, which is deeply disrespectful to the event, and in particular to our great Catholic community. Very disrespectful. The last Democrat not to attend this important event was Walter Mondale, and it did not go very well for him. He lost 49 states and he won one. He was expected to do well, and it didn't work out. It shows you there is a God. I mean, for those people that are questioning it.
Yeah. Donald Trump, I'll play more of his remarks last night because they're hilarious. What is also hilarious is that, did you notice? Could somebody remind me? I mean, I follow this stuff pretty closely, but I must have missed it. Can somebody remind me of the tandem Sherrod Brown, Kamala Harris campaign appearance in the state of Ohio? I mean, you're Sherrod Brown, you're locked in a race. Wouldn't you want the Democratic presidential nominee to come into Ohio and, kind of fortify your campaign? Somebody give me the date where Sherrod is with Joe Biden when he was running. Sherrod and Joe Biden. Sherrod would tell you that he's got Ohio's interests at heart. Why won't he campaign with a presidential candidate or the vice president during Joe Biden, whose policies he voted for in the Senate 98% of the time? I find that a mystery. You know what? Sherrod's not alone. The other day in Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris showed up for a campaign appearance in Erie, Pennsylvania, a county that she definitely wants to win because Pennsylvania is a state it is said she cannot win the presidency without. You know who was missing? Bob Casey, the Senate candidate on the Democratic side of the ticket in Pennsylvania. Bob Casey didn't show up. I wonder why that is. Bob, why aren't you there, my friend? Now, the answer, of course, to why Sherrod Brown and other Senate candidates are running from Kamala Harris is because her polls, and we're in a very divided electorate, so it's not going to be like she's going to fall like 6 points behind Trump in the national polls going into Election Day. But she is tumbling. In fact, before she began this big media tour, which she only began this big media tour, like what was the strategy from the very beginning? It was like the Joe Biden basement strategy. After all, that really worked for Biden. Let's hide our candidate. Let's go 60 days without doing an interview, and then we're going to do like a few bootlick shoeshine interviews on CNN and MSNBC. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, we better do a few more. Like my shoes haven't been shined enough by the tongues of Stephanie Ruhle and Dana Bash. Maybe I ought to get out there and let Sonny Hostin lick my shoes. Maybe Howard Stern. Maybe Stephen Colbert. The problem is, after those interviews, Uber pollster Nate Silver notes that Kamala Harris's favorability fell by 9 points. The more you see of her, the more you hear of her, the less you like her. So then she became really desperate and she went on Bret Baier, and that did not go well. That did not go well at all. Charlie Cook writes for the National Review, and I believe he has his finger on the exact reason why this is not going well for Kamala Harris. Here is what Charles C.W. Cook writes. Since she replaced Joe Biden on the ticket, reporters have struggled mightily to find kind ways of describing Harris's inability to convey anything comprehensible, complex, or concrete. Harris, the New York Times has proposed, has been, quote, strategically vague or light on detail and careful. Alternatively, the Times says she has, quote, put her own stamp on the art of the dodge. She has learned, quote, how to respond to unpleasant questions without answering them. That's also known as being evasive. And Charlie Cook says the Times says that Kamala has an ability to, quote, avoid delineating her stance on some issues. That's also called evasive. And then Charles Cook says, and yet if one were to search for a single word to sum up her candidacy, that word would apparently be joy. Charlie Cook says, disagree. I think the word would be idiot. Harris isn't vague or careful or disinclined to delineate her stance. She's wildly, catastrophically, incontestably out of her depth. She's not light. She's dull. She's not a dodger. She's a fool. She's not joyful. She's an imbecile. As Gertrude Stein once said of Harris's hometown of Oakland, there is no there. That is 100% true. She is an empty vessel, incompetent and incapable of being president of the United States. It's a little bit like if you're a sports fan. I heard somebody say to me one time, the best thing that ever happened to Buster Douglas was winning the heavyweight championship. And then they said, the worst thing that ever happened to Buster Douglas was having to defend the heavyweight championship. Because Buster was motivated, his mother died, Mike Tyson didn't take him seriously, Buster was totally focused, he got the best out of his athletic ability and all that. And he upset Mike Tyson in Tokyo, Japan, and he set the boxing world and the sports world and the city of Columbus on fire. And then when you have to live up to the expectations that come with being the heavyweight champion, that's harder than being the underdog. Kamala Harris has been able to exist in a world where she has been propped up by her race, by her sex, by the dominance of the Democratic Party in California, and she's never had to really achieve anything to achieve what she's achieved. She's mediocre in the very best sense of the word. Ordinary, not special, not charismatic. She has no ideas of her own. And yet she ascended from local prosecutor to state attorney general to senator to vice president. She got vice president because she was a black woman and there were very few other reasonable options out there. Who are you going to pick? Stacey Abrams? An election denier in Georgia who's at that time once and now twice defeated by Brian Kemp for governor? Who are you going to pick? Susan Rice, who lied about the American ambassador in Benghazi being murdered because it was a video rather than the incompetence of the Biden administration? There were no other black candidates, and he had to pick a black candidate because he owed James Clyburn for saving Biden did his sorry butt in the South Carolina Super Tuesday primaries. She's ascended to within a heartbeat of the presidency, and she tried to hide, and she can't hide anymore. And the more she comes out, wherever you are, Kamala, the more people are seeing not just how radical she is. She's very radical. She's radical on fracking. She's radical on the border. She's radical on LGBTQ issues. But more than that, more than just being radical, she's incompetent, empty, vacuous, vapid, stupid even, all on her own. Not because, as I've said many times, not because she's a woman and not because she's black. She's just stupid, independent of everything.
High today at 70, clear tonight, low 40, and then sunny and warm for tomorrow, the high 75. Clear skies tomorrow night, low 43. Sunny, warm day on Sunday, the high 70.
Just stupid, independent.
All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be. A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward. A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep them away. That's a nasty one. That's nasty. Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, She's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. All polls are indicating I'm leading.
The Democrats have been telling us Trump's reelection is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, why is Vice President Harris not here? This is a room full of Catholics and Jews in New York City. She didn't find time to appear on The View, Howard Stern, Colbert.
Schedule your first visit. When it comes to safety, don't settle for anything but feedback. Elite Fire Services registered most your business and police supplies. Our expert team provides top-notch fire safety inspections, service fire extinguishers, fire sprinkler systems, backflow preventers, fire alarms, kitchen hood suppression systems, and exit lighting. Visit elitefire.org today to get a free quote and ensure your fire safety is in elite hands. Because when it comes to protection, Elite Fire Services, your safety is our mission. Life takes its toll on our bodies and so around with hours on end, computer, maybe it's on a microphone or a camera, working 15 jobs, but by the time our body pays for the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain. I've been telling you about for years, Relief Factor. The good news is Relief Factor has a 3-week quick start that's just $19.95. Developed by a team of doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference, instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. It's 100% drug-free. Pain isn't about living a full life or affecting you. Do what so many others have done. Turn back the clock on pain. With Relief Factor, I did it. The 3-week quick start is just $19.95. Less than $1 a day. You feel good. It's amazing how much more you get out of life. Take it out for a test drive. $19.95 for a 3-week quick start. Visit ReliefFactor.com. ReliefFactor.com. Call 800 the number 4 Relief. 800 the number 4 Relief. Try it for yourself. Relief Factor.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra will be in Columbus the day after Christmas, and you can be there too, and it might not cost you a single thing. You can win one of the 10 pairs of tickets that we have to see TSO at Nationwide Arena on December the 26th. If you go to 989theanswer.com and enter the contest. The show this time is the Lost Christmas Eve Tour. TSO always brings it strong, their laser light show, their music, and everything else. This particular story is one of loss and redemption that encompasses a rundown hotel, an old toy store, a blues bar, a Gothic cathedral, and the respective inhabitants of all of those places intertwined on a single Christmas Eve in New York City. Man, I hope the illegals don't interrupt that. Probably not a spot for them in the TSO show, but there is a spot for you if you win free tickets at 989theanswer.com. December the 26th, TSO at Nationwide. Be there, courtesy of 989theanswer.com. So comedian Jim Gaffigan was the master of ceremonies last night at the Al Smith dinner in New York City. Again, Catholic Charities dinner raises millions and millions and millions of dollars. Democratic, Republican, presidential nominees have attended the dinner. The last one to skip was Walter Mondale. Walter Mondale, 1984, housed by Ronald Reagan, 49 states to 1. Jim Gaffigan opened with these comments last night.
The Democrats have been telling us Trump's reelection is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. In other words, all her dreams have come true. Really? It really makes you consider the power of prayer, right, Cardinal? Sometimes prayers take 3.5 years and a George Clooney op-ed.
That's a great shot from Jim Gaffigan, but the best shots of the night were delivered by Donald Trump.
All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be. But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer. That's not a pretty sight. But Catholics, please don't be too insulted by Kamala's absence. If the Democrats, he says, thank you very much, I appreciate it. If Democrats really wanted to have someone not be with us this evening, they would have just sent Joe Biden.
Then the second gentleman came in for some of Trump's humor.
A major issue in this race is childcare, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep them away. That's a nasty one.
That's the brilliance of Trump. He can make a joke that's true, because Doug Emhoff had an affair with and impregnated his daughter's nanny. And then he can say, that's a nasty one. I shouldn't have gone there. Well, I guess who was sitting next to Trump at the podium? It was Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Coming and very, very strong. A certain way. I won't tell you what way that is, but Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. It looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
Also, a great shot at Democrats. Again, the best jokes have an element of truth. The best jokes have an element of truth. Here, Trump addresses Jim Gaffigan, who has been, as Trump notes, playing Minnesota governor, Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live.
I'd like to thank our MC this evening, Jim Gaffigan. Most recently, Jim has been playing Tim Walz on Saturday Night Live. And that'll be a very short gig, I hope, Jim. But it was fun while it lasted, wasn't it? Let's see how that lasts. It better be quick. We don't want him, and I'm not going to say anymore. But unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself. But don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was.
Oh, that is hilarious because, again, element of truth, right? Walz lies about everything, and Trump connects the two. It's not Trump. It's obviously some joke writer, but the material was really well written for him last night. But it isn't just the material and how it's written. It's his ability to deliver it, his ability to kind of poke fun at himself, to poke fun at the other side. These kinds of appearances help him. They make him seem more normal, more approachable. I know there are a lot of people out there, only a sliver remain who will give him a chance. A lot of people out there, never going to vote for him. Even Christian people, which is just insane that you would vote for a political party that will butcher children in the womb and mutilate children sexually, all because you can't get over your Trump derangement syndrome. That's crazy. Trump then offered his comments on the expediency of him getting off stage because the room, he said, was booked for something else.
Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. That's right. They've reserved many rooms, a lot of rooms, too many rooms.
Indeed. Too many rooms in New York City. So that's Trump last night at the Al Smith dinner. I think when you look at the long view of the week, When you look at Kamala Harris going on with Brett Baer, dodging questions, being evasive. When you look at Trump here, appearing relaxed, Trump continues to do at least 2 events every single day. The Democrats continue to lie and continue to be exposed in their lies. You know, this thing about Trump at a campaign appearance a little while ago, a week or so ago, where they said the Democrats are pushing this narrative that, oh, Trump like froze on stage and all he did was like stand there and dance to music and he didn't know what was going on. Now, you know, ABC hates Trump, right? You remember the debate and David Muir fact-checking Trump on crime statistics and David Muir lying about that? Here's the ABC report on what actually happened with Trump when he supposedly, quote unquote, froze up on stage.
He pledged to shut the southern border, end Russia's war in Ukraine, lower prices at the grocery store, and bring down interest rates to 2%, while providing few details on how he'd accomplish all that.
People don't think of grocery. You know, it sounds like not such an important word when you talk about homes and everything else, right? But more people tell me about grocery bills, where the price of bacon, the price of lettuce, the price of tomatoes, they tell me. And we're going to do a lot of things.
But then, 30 minutes in, 2 attendees suffered medical emergencies.
A doctor, please. Doctor.
The incidents shifted the mood, prompting Trump to cut the question short and instead play some of his favorite music.
How about this? We'll play YMCA and we'll go home.
Trump kept DJing, and most of his supporters stayed for another 30 minutes of his playlist. Well, in certain quarters of social media, people had a field day with that, and I guess on the screens it might have looked quite strange. Inside that hall, however, people were having a good time. What can I tell you? It did not seem out of the ordinary. It seemed almost intimate, and at the end, Trump did something he very rarely does. He came down off the stage and mingled with his supporters. He was signing autographs and shaking hands and the like.
So I've seen commentators on MSNBC and CNN blow Trump up for this. See, he froze up. He's just standing up there dancing. He didn't know what he's doing. There was a medical emergency in the room. And he could have been insensitive and gone on and continued to address questions while this person was being attended to by doctors. Instead, he turned it into a fun event, relaxed event. He'd think on his feet. What would Kamala do in that situation? She'd freeze up. It'd be awkward. So they will lie about something even as tender as him saying, hey, can we get some medical people over here to help someone in the crowd who's in a catastrophic situation?
As a local business owner, you get called every week by marketing companies. We get it. We have hundreds of satisfied customers. Here's what a satisfied client recently said.
All right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And be back Monday with another edition of the show. Enjoy your weekend. I certainly have plans that will allow me to enjoy mine. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a great time this weekend with friends and family that you love. Take care.
No small task. If you don't know where to